Shraddha Srimurti, Mathura was Srimurti, Shraddhaya Sevan. So this is very, very important integral element. It is Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan and Bhagavad Shravan. Bhagavad Shravan is a very, very important part of our Krishna consciousness as sadhakas. And this is a part that we often neglect. Many people send me their sadhana reports, and the one area where many of them are struggling is basically about their study part of it. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained the word Bhagavan in Bhagavad Sandarbha, which is the third part of the Shat Sandarbhas. Srila Jiva Goswami mentions that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is full with all conceivable and inconceivable potencies. Without the word inconceivable or achintya, it is impossible to describe the word Bhagavan. So he is a supreme absolute whole, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti Shabdate. Brahman is, of course, only a partial manifestation of Bhagavan. Bhagavan starts with the letter Bha. Bha means one who sustains and one who protects. Bharta, one who sustains and protects. The next letter, Ga, means Gamaita, one who is a leader. He pushes and he is a creator. So that is Bhaga. And Van means dwelling. Nivasishyasi, he stays. Bhagavan. So everybody exists in the Supreme Lord. Every living being, yatho va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayante apisamvishanti. Everything originates in him, dwells in him, and perishes in him. And yet, Yomam pashyati sarvasva, sarvatra sarvamam mai pashyati, tasyaham na pranashyami, sachamena pranashyati. The Supreme Lord resides in every living being's heart. So combining all these three, the word Bhagavan, it means inconceivable potencies in terms of strength, knowledge, beauty, energy, opulence, influence, and there is nothing inferior about Bhagavan. Unless you have inconceivable potencies and capabilities and you have no deficiency, you cannot be Bharta and Gamaita, you cannot be sustainer and protector. So, the potency of the Supreme Lord can therefore explain by these letters Bha and Ga. So everything is protected by Krishna, it's maintained by Krishna. So just like a king takes personal care of his family, while the state's affairs are managed by his deputed delegated agents. So the Supreme Lord is similarly the leader of the devotees. And Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, he gives them instructions on how to attain his kingdom. But at the same time, he is also the recipient of all the offerings, all the Yat Karosh Yadasanas, everything that is offered by his devotees. Yome Bhaktya Prayashyati. He is the goal and the objective of everything, the sadhana and the sadhya as well. So, and he creates a condition for developing love towards him. And sometimes he creates a favorable condition for developing Bhagavad Prema by snatching away everything that is present in a devotee. That is material or his desires in that sense. Or he has no scope of material desires. He takes away everything. Yasyaham anugranami harishis taddanam shane. So he is not connected to Srishti Siddhi Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayava Yasya Bhuvanana Vibharti Durga. Mother Durga is involved in all this, but it is under Ichhana Rupam Api Yasya Cheshtatis. It is as per his desire. He is himself happily busy. Goloka eva nivasati akilatma bhuta. He is just happy. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Then he expands himself as the Purusha avatars to maintain creation and so on and so forth, and the Guna avatars. But these Purusha avatars, Shirodagashai, Karanodagashai, and Garbhodagashai Vishnu, they are also Bhagavan. Just like Deeparchireva Hidashantaram Abhipetya, the original lamp, Bhagavan, and the subsequent lamps, they are also Bhagavan. But Krishna is the original. And living entities are obviously is Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Buddha Sanatana. They have an independent desire to enjoy and therefore they ascend to the material world. And at the same time, Krishna expands as the super soul to be Upadrishta and Anumanta of their affairs. So it's just like, let's take a Mela. All the citizens of a state, they assemble in a Mela or a fair or an exhibition. They want to enjoy, and there is a convention in charge, an exhibition in charge. He is deputed by the government. He has all the powers. He has all the powers like the government. It's a plenipotentiary, it is called. Somebody is like an ambassador. The Paramatma feature of the Supreme Lord is just like that. He's like a Mela officer. When Mela Khatam, to officer Khatam. He goes back to his original place. In that sense. So that is an understanding we should have. That the Supreme Lord arranges several ways to manage our lives, whereas he himself is relishing transcendental bliss in his own realm. And because he's Bhagavan, Bhagavatam means, the word Bhagavatam itself means, it pertains to Bhagavan. It relates to Bhagavan. Krishna himself is telling Brahma in this Skanda Purana that one should regularly hear the famous Srimad Bhagavatam with faith. That is the only means to satisfy me. And for my pleasure and for the pleasure of the devotees, one must keep Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion. He's saying even if one verse is there in a house, or half a verse, or quarter of a verse that is present in a house from Srimad Bhagavatam, I personally stay there. I personally reside in such a place. And he says, not just stay, he says, I never leave one who enjoys speaking or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam is Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Vedanta Sutra's authorized commentary. And Srila Prabhupada mentions, I briefly spoke about this in the morning, in the Bhadra Purnima Yajna campaign. I was asked to also address the international community. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we are indebted to Vyasadeva because they provided these wonderful 18,000 verses. So, Bhagavata means relating to Bhagavan. The Lord is master of all time and space. So, therefore, everywhere, Sarvatra Prachar, Hoibe Morna, everything, the Lord's name must be heard, remembered, glorified. So, this will bring in peace and prosperity, which everybody wants. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that if somehow all the books in the world were destroyed, they were to be destroyed, and leaving only Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, people of this world can still achieve the ultimate goal of life. And even if Srimad Bhagavatam were lost, leaving only Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there will be no loss to humanity. Whatever has not been even revealed in Srimad Bhagavatam is found in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in due course, another part, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says that if there is a Mahapralaya or devastation or annihilation or inundation, if you try to survive by swimming in this deluge, please remember to take Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you cannot hold all three, you release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam. But under no circumstances can you release your hold on Chaitanya Charitamrita. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage. Because after it has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revealed and spread, revived, just by Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is the essence of all Shastras. So, Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavirasthane. Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavirasthane. Ekanta Ashraya Kara Chaitanya Charane. Dhyanti Leela, this line comes. Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami says that if you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, you must approach a self-realized Vaishnava and hear from him. You can do this. When can you do this? Ekanta Ashraya Karo Chaitanya Charane. You can do this only if you have taken complete shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, Puranam Amalam, Prema Pumarthumaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatradaro Matpara. The Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the person Bhagavata, which is why in the first canto introduction, even before Bhagavatam starts, Srila Prabhupada spends 50 to 53 pages about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. This is person Bhagavat. So Swarup Damodar Goswami told one poet from Bengal who wrote his own poem, and also he wrote his commentary on Bhagavatam and other things. So Damodar Goswami told him that you must hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a pure Vaishnava. You must learn from him. So Prabhupada in that purport talks about how there are these professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam. They collect dakshina. They finish, Prabhupada calls it Bhagavat business. They do what is called Bhagavat Saptaha. So in 1 week, it is never mentioned anywhere in Srimad Bhagavatam that you can cover Srimad Bhagavatam in 1 week. It's not mentioned anywhere. It says Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Stavana Kirtana. One should be regularly hearing. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. So one should regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam. From whom? From a self-realized Vaishnava. By such hearing, one becomes pious. Hrityam dasto ki abhadrani vidinoti suhitsata. So we should hear regularly and sincerely. And when we do that, our heart will be purified of all material contamination. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, or we render service to a pure devotee, which is a person Bhagavatam, then all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed. And Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki, loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is Uttama Shloka, glorified by transcendental songs, it is established as an irrevocable fact. Naishtiki Bhakti, it is established. So this is the actual proper process. Still people try to hear from these Bhagavatam reciters. So Swarup Damodar Goswami clearly advises here, and she's Lalita Sakhi, she's the Radhe Priya Sakhi, so Gurum Sakhina. She's really the Guru, Lalita Sakhi. And she says that here, Swarup Damodar Goswami says that one must not hear Srimad Bhagavatam from professional reciters. One must hear and learn Bhagavatam from a self-realized Vaishnava. So sometimes, Mayavadi sannyasis or Mayavadis also with a lot of word jugglery, nice vocabulary, they conduct Bhagavat Saptas, and many people go to hear this jugglery of words, but it cannot awaken dormant love of God at Prabhupada says. So just like people go to professional dramas, they give money and food to the actors and players. They're very good at collecting these offerings. But they remain grihamanda kupam, in the dark well of material existence. So Srimad Bhagavatam also talks about Prahlad Maharaj says, Madirna Krishna Parata Swatova Mitopi Patita Dridavratana Athanda Gopar Vishatam Tamishram Anda Gopa Athanda Gopir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Puna Charvita Charvana. What do? They hear this Srimad Bhagavatam. They'll hear only the Rasa Panchadhyaya or whatever straight away. They want to remain happy in their family affairs of sex purposes. So this process of hearing Bhagavatam from professionals is condemned by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavirasthane. So to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, one must approach a self-realized Vaishnava. One should rigidly avoid hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from a Mayavadi, Avaishnava Mukot Girnam, Utam Harikatamritam, Shravana Naiva Kartavyam, Sapochistam Katapaya. like milk touched by the tongue of a serpent. So people collect money from innocent people and this they keep them in the darkness, professional reciters. So Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami strictly prohibits the behavior of so-called hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam and reciters. So instead of awakening Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, it will just yan maithunadi grahamedi sukham hitucham. It will awaken more sex impulse. So one should listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who has no connection to material activities. A true follower of Shukadev Goswami, it is mentioned in the first canto, is somebody who has purified his eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. So, in other words, here it's mentioned a Paramahamsa Vaishnava, or somebody who was attached, who has achieved the highest stage of sannyasa. And this is the conclusive point. Srila Prabhupada mentions it is not possible to be at the highest stage of sannyas unless one takes the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the line that is used here? The line that is used is Ekanta Ashraya Karo Chaitanya Charane. Ekanta Ashraya meaning fully surrender, no compromise. Sarvadharman Parityaja. In other words, on this auspicious Bhadra Purnima day, we should pray at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is a person Bhagavat. Srimad Bhagavatam is understandable only for one who can follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the way to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's the way to develop love of Godhead, because Srimad Bhagavatam is the uncompromising source of love of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. It's very dear to Vaishnavas. And it is also mentioned that it is so dear to Vaishnavas, so dear to Krishna. So we should study the Srimad Bhagavatam, keep the Srimad Bhagavatam, preach the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhadra Purnima is also not just about donating Bhagavatam, it is also about giving oneself Bhagavatam by studying it properly. It's very, very critical. So sometimes I feel embarrassed and sad that I had started a system of daily online Bhagavatam classes study group. Now, because of my own requirement of enrolling for my online Bhakti Vaibhav course, I'm not able to conduct that. But I did not want to compromise on meeting this group every Monday. So then I requested my daily online group, and I think many of them are already here. Swadhyaya Prabhu is here, who's originally from Gurgaon. Harihara Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu from Chhattisgarh. Reshma Mataji from Damodar Desh. Mahasundari Mataji from our Delhi congregation. Radhanaga Mataji again from our Delhi congregation. And Madan Swarup Prabhu is a department head of Govindas and Sankirtan. Dr. Vikas from Bangalore. Devidasi Mataji from Andhra. Very senior disciple of Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. Dr. Nidhivana Radhika Mataji, Yamuna Mai Mataji, her sister Shivani Mataji from Dwarka. It's a huge group. And Aruna Madhavi Mataji, who sometimes attends my classes, but she is also from Gurugram. So it's a sizable gathering from there. And I think probably because I joined late, maybe some devotees from Gurugram may have even left. I don't know whether they joined or then left or they didn't join, because I didn't see many people from there. Like I think earlier, Dina Sudama Prabhu was coming, and Amit Prabhu, of course, said he will come. You could see that he's here.
I'm here, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's what I said. He will come, and I see that he's here. So there are a few devotees, like Suman Mataji is there for the last 3 classes. Very good. So I'm happy that all of you have joined, and particularly happy that His Grace Achyutari Prabhu is also here to inspire us, because when senior Vaishnavas they are present in Bhagavatam classes, it inspires both the speakers and the listeners. The listeners to keep coming, and for the speakers to be careful in what they say. It's in both ways. So thank you very much. Because we have to conclude by 8:30. It should have been 7:15 to 8:15. but we started late and we can conclude by 8:30. So we still have another 10 minutes or so for questions or comments.
So, Prabhu, one thing, like when we say we have to hear it from Paramhansa.
Yeah.
So sometimes people will pull it towards Ritvik, that we have only one Paramhansa, Srila Prabhupada. So you only have to listen to him. So how to encounter them on that?
Yeah. The one qualification of a Paramahamsa Vaishnava is that he can make other Paramahamsa Vaishnavas. So a good preacher means one who makes other preachers. Succession planning. If La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is one way of understanding that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last prophet. The Ritvik movement is just a copy of this philosophy. Maybe in Islam there is no other prophet, which is fine, or Messiah. But as far as Vaishnavism is concerned, there are innumerable acharyas. And Srila Prabhupada's glories are being minimized by stating that he cannot make any other pure devotee after him. That's it. So Prabhupada is most qualified Mahabhagavata, but he cannot make a single pure devotee. So it is like Krishna is a person, but he cannot be omnipresent.
Right.
So you are limiting the acharya by calling him this. So that's one point. And the other point is, of course, that evam parampara pratam imam rajarshyo viduhu. Empowerment comes through the parampara. So if a Paramahamsa Vaishnava empowers somebody to preach on his behalf, they will be equally effective. That is why this movement has expanded after Prabhupada left in 1977. By now, the movement would have collapsed. Now, what do you see? We see it growing. Srimad Bhagavatam says 28,000 copies are being pledged across the world. It has never happened in the history of Srimad Bhagavatam that books at this quantity are being distributed. This is by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Srila Prabhupada's followers are able to serve him. The biggest book distribution in the history of the world happened in 1978 after Prabhupada left. It is service and separation. Devotees just were so attached to Prabhupada. So it is very, very clear. One, Paramahamsa Vaishnava can make more Paramahamsa Vaishnavas. Two, and just by the instruction, by following his instructions, they can also deliver people. So that way, we can hear from them as well. Provided, the caveat being, they present it as it is. And they present it exactly as per the Acharya. What is? Is that fine,
Yes,
Prabhu, to your lotus feet, I'd just like to ask a supplement.
You don't have lotus feet. I have flat feet and cactus kind of cuts on my feet. No lotus.
As a supplement to what the Prabhu has asked, I was going through a lecture wherein it was mentioned that we should be, we have to have some attitude, or we should be so patra so that we can listen to or hear about Radha and Krishna's Leela. Not everyone should, or we should not directly read it from any book or something. So you need to be. So likewise, do you need to have some qualification to hear Bhagavatam? That's it.
Srila Prabhupada provided Krishna book even before he gave Bhagavatam. Krishna book is 10th canto. Straight to the point. And he said, read it daily. Well, he didn't say that you should read only 10th canto. You should read only 10th canto, Rasa Panchadhyay. He said, read the whole 10th canto. Prabhupada says, Krishna's killing the demons is also his Leela. It is not just Rasa Leela. Krishna's lifting Govardhan is also his Leela. So, to get exposed to Krishna's Leelas, we must study the 10th canto. One. Two, even before Srila Prabhupada started 9th canto, he had completed Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a post-PhD study of elevated Krishna consciousness, even higher than Srimad Bhagavatam, like we heard from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So what does this mean? It just means that just like Rajashripad Ramanujacharya says, you take a sweet candy, you bite it anywhere, it will be sweet. So these scriptures of Srila Prabhupada, you can start anywhere. Start with Chaitanya Charitamrita, start with Srimad Bhagavatam, start with on the way to Krishna, anything, just start. So it really doesn't matter in that context. But at the same time, about the qualification, Srila Prabhupada himself denied, he excused himself from describing the 10th canto to an elderly couple in Chennai in the 1970s, early 1970s. But to Sumati Morarji, for a specific purpose, he spoke from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Acharya has no time, place, and circumstance when to reveal the right message of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, what is our qualification? Our qualification is to simply Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. If it means every day we sit in class and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, we will do it. If it reaches 10th canto and the temple authority decides to speak from 10th canto, we will listen to it. If temple authority decides that no, we will go back to first canto and start again, we will listen to it. It's fine. Does that answer your question? Our qualification comes from our surrender to instructions of spiritual authority. That is our qualification. Seva adhikara diye koro nijadasi. You're praying for seva. Because you don't have the ability. Seva adhikar, you don't have the adhikar, the patrata. You're praying to pure devotees, Srimati Tulsi Maharani, for service to their lordships. Quite similarly, we pray to Srila Prabhupada. That's why we chant this pranam mantra. We pray to Srila Prabhupada that Yasya Deva Para Bhaktri Yathadeva Tathaguru Tasyega Pratyate Kyarta Prakashante Mahatmana. The one who surrendered to the words of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, to him all the purports of all the scriptures are revealed. So if you follow Srila Prabhupada and his instructions and the contemporary acharyas and devotees empowered by them, then we'll get the mercy of the Guru Parampara, and that will give us the patrata to understand the scriptures. Bhagavata pada jahi Vaishnava sthane. So from Vaishnavas we listen. Is that fine?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have one question.
Yes, Mantri.
Prabhuji, in Bhagavatam, maybe Canto 4, the Maharaja Daksha story, maybe Canto 4, I'm not sure. So there it is mentioned he has 60 daughters. I mean, after his 11,000 sons were, taken sannyasa by Narad ji. So there were 60 daughters, and they later on, given birth to all these kind of non-human things like aquatic animal and insect. Is it some, I was not able to understand this verse. Is it something so, because there was dinosaurs, so when he was there in this age before the Satyuga, because dinosaur was there in 66 million years ago. So when Satyuga started and when this dinosaur was there, I am myself not very convinced with those things. So can you please...
What are you worried about? Are you worried about the dinosaur age, or are you worried about women procreating non-human children? Which is the larger issue?
Actually, I asked two questions separately, right?
Yeah.
So first, you please tell me the second one. Maharaja Daksha.
Okay.
Yes,
See, Maharaja Daksha's daughters did not marry some ordinary flesh and blood human being. They married empowered Prajapatis. Many of them. They, Maharaja Daksha himself married Prasuti. Akuti was married to Prajapati Ruchi, whose son was Dharma, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yajna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his wife was Dakshina. Now, this is Yajna and Dakshina. We have to understand what they are. All these concepts are personified through many of these people. So there are the fire gods, they married somebody. The Prachetas had one wife. All Prachetas had one wife. And they had one child. So these are all not ordinary personalities. The fact that they're being mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam means that they're extraordinary personalities. And many of them are Prajapatis. They're meant for procreating a particular age. Like Kashyapa and Diti, they gave birth to Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. They're not normal. They're by no stretch of imagination normal living entities. Then you have Kayadu. not Kayadu, what's her name? Vinata and Kadru. Vinata gave birth to Aruna and Garuda, and Kadru gave birth to the Nagas. So they are all meant for a specific purpose. They are empowered. In fact, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam glorifies Gokarna. Gokarna was born from a cow.
What?
Gokarna was born from a cow. Gokarna, you know the story of Gokarna, right? In Bhagavad Mahatmya. He chanted Gokarna, and Gokarna chanted Bhagavatam, and his brother Dundkari, who was in a Preta Yoni, he got delivered. So
Okay. Yes, yes.
some of these things are bewildering for us. Some of the chronology will be even bewildering. If you look at the timing, you will not, sometimes it may not match in Srimad Bhagavatam. So for us, time, space, relationships, methodology, these things are secondary. What we are concerned about is the principle, the broader principle as to why these people are a part of Bhagavatam. They're especially empowered personalities. And they're empowered by the Supreme Lord and his representatives to do procreation as a process, as a service. So it is not like they did cesarean section or forceps or whatever and they delivered, or how they delivered. How did Krishna appear? Krishna appeared from the mind of Vasudeva, transferred to the womb of Devaki, and he appeared outside. Right? Vaman Dev also same thing, from Kashyapa to Aditi. So these are extraordinary living entities empowered by the Supreme Lord for the explicit process of creation. So that process is not explained. They might have appeared through many ways, like Marichi came from the mind of Brahma, Manasa Putra. How is that possible? And Brahma was so unhappy with his abominable action of being attracted to his daughter that he gave up his body and took a new body. How is that possible? We can't. So these are all very, very special people. Brahma threw his one of his bodies into the darkness and the Asuras took it. So they got attracted to him. Homosexuality begins from there. So there's a lot of things in our scriptures that some of them we accept them as they are. Because, can you see your eyelids, Suman Mataji? You can't. But you see through the eyes of the mirror. So we see through the eye of Shastra that this has happened by the mercy of the Lord. 1, 2, these are empowered personalities. And 3, the process is not explained. It can be many processes which we don't know through which procreation can happen. Right? So we are not ruling out alternative means of procreation. We don't know. We should not examine it with our limited frame of reference. But we are not saying that it is all Leela, don't ask about it. No, it's not like it. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, so we accept it as it is. For the time being, we don't have the understanding in explicit words, but we have examples of other deliveries or procreation happening, which are extraordinary. So therefore, we know this is possible, like that. Yeah?
And about the second question, would you like
Dinosaurs is first of all, we don't know if dinosaurs existed or not. We don't know. We consume what is fed to us by the material scientists. So the same faith we have in material science, we should have in scriptures. If not more, at least same faith.
Actually, you know what, my Prabhuji was, he was arguing with me and I was not able to convince him. So I thought
You get this book called Forbidden, you get this book called Forbidden Archaeology by Drutakarma Prabhu. Forbidden Archaeology. It clearly says how there is a knowledge filter. Research grants are all provided only to those scientists who agree and subscribe to Darwinian theory.
Yes, he was.
It's a fact. In the West itself, they are looking at alternative theories, not just Darwinian. They are looking at not just Big Bang, they're looking at intelligent design, steady state, so many theories that have come up. So scientific spirit demands that we are a little broader in our understanding. Just because somebody has told us, nobody has seen Big Bang create any creation. But with some mathematical formula, some scientist proves to you, you accept it. So that is one way of understanding the truth. The scriptures have so many other different ways of understanding the truth. So we should look at it with the Shastra Chakshu, that is one. 2, there are several fossils and paleontological remnants which relate to ages that are much older than the so-called gold age and silver age that is developed by material scientists. So, but this is consciously subsumed and suppressed by the conventional material scientists and the scientific establishment. Because if they acknowledge scriptures, Prabhupada says this, if they acknowledge the existence of scriptures, it means unka dal pani ruk jayega. Just imagine the existence of a God. Who will go to one third-rate, defecating, urinating, sweating scientist? Who will believe him? When you have option of listening to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is profitable for the scientists that the whole world remains atheistic. It's easier for them. And then that way they can advance their own understanding. So we should have opened ourselves to alternate streams of knowledge. And even in conventional material science, there are so many theories that we are not exposed to. Our CBSE texts and ICSE texts teach us something and we grow with that understanding. And we ourselves have seen how initially they said light travels in the form of particles, then they said in the form of waves, then they said in the form of photons, then they said in the form of quanta. Then they're saying that there are particles that are faster than light, bosons and fermions. So if something goes faster than light, theoretically you can assume that time will stop or time will go back. So how many people have traveled back in time? We don't know. Brief History of Time was written by Stephen Hawking, who was an atheist. Now he's dead and gone. God knows where he's gone. So we don't be, who knows? So as many scientists, as many theories. But Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana Pramanam Amala, one truth. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gita. There's no compromise. Very Shankara, Madhva, Nimbarka, Vishnu Swami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vallabhacharya, everyone is saying the same thing. There's no compromise on that. But scientists, there are so many different opinions. Naso Rishir Yasya Matam Nabinna. You are not a Rishi if you don't disagree with another Rishi. So therefore, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhaya Mahajano Enagatasya Panta. Follow the path of the advanced Vaishnavas because they will not cheat you. A scientist can cheat you for his money and his research grant. Shankara, Madhva, Nimbarka will never cheat you. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, will not cheat you. Your mother will not cheat you that this is your father. Scripture will never cheat you about the Supreme Lord and his creations. Keshava Tuva Jagata Vichitra. There could have been dinosaurs at some point of time, but who cares? It still won't take you back to Godhead. If you knew that.
Actually, I was hearing Bhagavatam and there one Prabhuji was explaining about Darwin. So my Prabhuji came and he took my half an hour and he started discussing and all this.
Darwin's theory is itself such hogwash. When you see it, look, is it a fairy tale or is it a scientific theory? You read it, you'll know. Nobody's read Darwin's theory in detail. His own students disagreed with him. So many of them.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, we can take one last question. Tomorrow I have to wake up Radha Pathasarthi. So give myself sufficient time.
Yeah.
If they wake me up, that's. Sundari Mataji.
Tomorrow is also Sannyas acceptance day, Prabhupada.
Yes. Vishwarup Mahotsav.
Yeah.
As per the Vaishnava calendar, tomorrow is the day I got my Harinam initiation. Otherwise, it is September. Otherwise, it is September 22. Yes.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Yes,
प्रणाम प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, जैसे हम ये पढ़ा है हमने कि हम कितने भी जन्मों तक श्रवण कीर्तन करते रहे तब भी हमें कृष्ण प्रेम नहीं मिल सकता। तो इसका मतलब ये कि अगर हम ऑफेंस के साथ चैंटिंग करते हैं, चाहे वो करते रहे ऐसा कितने जन्मों तक, तो हमें कृष्ण प्रेम नहीं मिलेगा प्रभु जी। इसका मतलब ये है प्रभु जी।
Yeah, Krishna is Swarat. If Krishna wants, he can reveal himself even to the offensive chanter. Srila Haridas Thakur says even Nama Bhas can bestow you love of God. It can deliver you, it can give you liberation. Nama Bhas can. It's not Shuddhanam. Even Nama Bhas can deliver. It is perfectly capable. But our goal is to chant Shuddhanam. And we give ourselves a very good chance. If we aim for 100%, we will get 90. If we aim for 70, we will get only 50. We will not pass. Prabhupada says this. Our goal should be always Shuddhanam and going back to Godhead. More than that, pleasing the spiritual master. That should be our goal. In the process, whatever is required, we do. Chant attentively, read Bhagavatam, associate the devotees, avoid offenses, worship the deities, honor prasadam, so on and so forth. All this we do. Krishnartat akhila cheshtita. We do everything for Krishna's pleasure. To the best of our ability and more. That is all you can do, Mataji. Karmanya eva adhikaraste. Results are finally for Krishna to give. If he desires, even after you chant millions and millions of, but even without offenses, he can reserve the right to reveal himself because he is for art. But this is an understanding that we should have, that we should follow the process the best. Like Srila Prabhupada says, determination comes by following the principles of Bhajana Kriya. So we have to follow Bhajana Kriya properly. If we follow Bhajana Kriya properly, then Anartha Nivritti will happen. And if Anartha Nivritti happens, then Nishtha will happen. And if you are at Nishtha and practicing Bhakti, Ruchi will happen. It will happen. And it will happen by the mercy of the spiritual master and Vaishnavas. Therefore, Vaishnava Seva is more important than Nama Kirtan. Because by Vaishnava Seva, you will get Nama Kirtan. You will get Nama Ruchi. You can get Nama Ruchi by Vaishnava Seva. And Vaishnava is not just those who are senior to us. Vaishnavas are not just who are in a particular body. Trying to serve all Vaishnavas, that we can do. Even if you are offensive by nature, we can try to serve Vaishnavas and overcome that offensive nature. Mataji, isn't that the only thing we can do? We try our best, correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is there any better process, Mataji?
No, Prabhuji.
So anyway, till the time you find a better process, keep doing this process. Don't get negative and dejected about we may do many years and nothing will happen. Why worry about it? Look at it. Leave it to Krishna. No, Krishna is still God. Krishna is still God. That's the good news. He has not resigned. He has not taken voluntary retirement. It says, Asha Bandha is one of the qualifications of a devotee at Bhava platform. Asha Bandha means the hope, complete hope against hope, always. Krishna must have a plan for me. Krishna will definitely have a plan for me. Raksha Sathiti Vishwaso, third symptom of surrender. Avashya Rakhibe Krishna Vishwasya Palon. So we have to have that faith. And that faith comes from Vaishnavas. So is Sarva Vaishnavas. From there you'll get Nama Ruchi, you'll get determination to follow Bhajana Kriya, you'll get determination to follow the principles. I keep reading this point from Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, if you all remember, where it is mentioned that by the mercy of the spiritual master, it is mentioned that even if a devotee, a disciple is struggling to follow the regulative principles, by the mercy of the spiritual master, he will be protected. So it doesn't mean you keep violating regulative principles and just like, Jesus Christ, our Lord, took our sins, so we pile on to him with more sins. Not like that. We do our best endeavor and the mercy will come. Both will happen. Is that fine, Mahasundari Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Stay positive. There's no other way. I don't know. Ekaki Amar Naik Paibal Harinama Sankirtan. I have no taste for holy name. I have no taste for Srimad Bhagavatam. But because I'm associating with all of you, I have some hope. Like that. And that's all we can do. There's no point in saying that no, life is so bad. Bad luck. Life is bad. Dukhalayam, Krishna says. Not like he didn't warn you. It is Dukhalayam. But then what you can do is Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Keep trying. That is in your hand. Aham Tvam Sarva Papepi is in Krishna's hand. Okay, so we conclude now.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.